Hello and welcome to Math Lessons with Linda. Today's topic is the distance formula. And when I talk about the distance formula, I mean the distance between 2 points on the coordinate plane. So let's first start off with what is the formula actually? So we use a lowercase d to represent the distance. And then the rest of our formula on the other side of the equation is a very large square root. And underneath the square root, we have in one set of parentheses, x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared, plus in another set of parentheses, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So what is all of this? The distance formula is actually derived from the Pythagorean theorem, and that would be a different video to watch. But what we're doing with these x's and these y's, these are the values from the 2 points that we're trying to use to find the distance between. So let's have point A be 10, 1, and point B is going to be 9, negative 4. And if these points were vertical, one above each other, or horizontal next to each other, then all we would have to do is count the number of spaces between them. Horizontally or vertically, it's very easy to do. But I can tell that these are not set up that way. And so they're going to be, at some kind of a diagonal, and that's harder to find out if we have to graph it every time. So what I'm going to do is label each of these points, and I'm going to call point A is point 1. That means 10 is the x1, and the 1 is the y1. And point B can be point 2. So the 9 will be my x2, and the y will be my y2. Sorry, the negative 4 will be my y2. So all I have to do is correctly substitute in these values for the x's and the y's into my formula, and then I can calculate the distance between these 2 points. So let's do that together. So I'm going to take my x2 and subtract my x1. That means I'm taking my 9 and I'm subtracting 10. And then remember, we square that value, whatever it is that we're going to get. Then I'm going to add, the next parenthesis is the y2, so the negative 4, minus my y1, which is 1, and then remember to square that. So watch your signs when you have a lot of negatives going on. So 9 minus 10 gives me a negative 1. I'm going to leave that in parentheses because when I square it, something's going to happen. Then I'm going to subtract negative 4 minus 1, that's negative 5, also leaving that in parentheses. So now I get to almost at the end. Negative 1 squared means take negative 1 and multiply it by another negative 1. So that answer turns out to be a positive 1. Negative 5 squared means take negative 5 and multiply it by another negative 5, which gives me a positive 25. So you can see now all of the negatives have gone for this problem. So my last thing to do is to add what's under the radical. So I get the distance is equal to the square root of 26. Now, 26 is not a perfect square, and there are no factors in 26 that I can simplify it. So probably I'm going to leave this as the square root of 26. If you want to use your calculator and take the square root of 26, it's going to be a little bit more than 5 if you want to have a rougher idea of the distance that you're trying to find. But for our purposes, we're going to leave the distance as the square root of 26. And that's an example of how you can use the distance formula to find the distance between 2 points.